Hey everyone, so today I want to talk to you about aiming. Now, a lot of you have asked me how I aim at my targets. Now, in a nutshell, all you do is point your bow arm at the target, load the arrow onto the target, draw, release, and you hit your target. And that's pretty much the gist of how you aim. However, when it when the target is static, there comes much more into play, such as these targets over here in this field archery course, or in general most field archery courses in UK, their targets are not moving targets. Most of them are just static behind trees and things like that. So all you have to do is aim. Now, in reality, this gives you the opportunity to prepare your shot. So when it comes to static targets, what I like to do is I like to align my whole leg toward the target, my shoulder toward the target, and then I point with my bow arm at the target as well. Once I load my arrow onto the target, I make sure I look inside the bow. So between the string and the bow, I look inside the bow, down the shaft, and I make sure make I see the point of my arrow, and that's the point that I want to exactly align with the spot that I want to hit basically. And this requires me to tilt my head a little bit forward so I can see down the shaft. And once I've aligned the arrow point with the spot that I want to hit, in this case I'm aiming or aligning my arrow right below the red dot of the target. As you can see, that's my previous arrow. And then I draw back and I release. And I hit it exactly where I was aiming. So from this angle, so you can see how I look down the shaft. Don't worry, my camera is on the tripod, so I'm not endangering anyone. Last time I did a shot like this, most of you commented saying I shot my camera guy. Once I point at the target, I want to look down the shaft and make eye contact with the point of my arrow. So the way I do that is I look between my string and the bow, so on the inside of my bow. So if I was to shoot left-handed, basically, I'll be looking down this side, down the right side of my bow. And since I'm shooting right-handed, I will be looking on the left side of my bow, basically. So I align my point right at the camera, like so. That I know I am aiming right at the lens of the camera. I like to keep both eyes open because I like to see depth. Some of you might have a weak eye and a strong eye. You can choose to close one of the eyes if you want. However, I prefer to keep both eyes open, so it's literally whatever you prefer. And then you look down the shaft, align the point exactly where you want to hit the target. So the smaller you aim, the smaller you'll miss. It's like they say, aim small, miss small. Some people say aim small, miss them all, but you know, it depends on how experienced you are. Anyway, so look down the shaft, align the point where you want to hit the target, and then you draw back. I reach my anchor point and I release. And I hit it right where I want to hit it. As you can see. I like to take my time when it comes to static targets because you can take your time. You will have time to prepare your shot instead of just rushing it and trying to shoot, which most of the time it's called instinctive shooting. You probably will get away with hitting the target. However, you're not gonna hit the target exactly where you were aiming at. Maybe you you probably will hit it one or two times, but when it comes to static targets, this is how I aim. So if you want to do instinctive shooting, then by all means go for it. And I think a lot of people actually are really good at it. So the more you practice it, the more you'll get good at it. And the more you practice aiming, the more you'll get good at it. However, the only thing with aiming is that you will have time to actually prepare your shot instead of just rushing your shot. So I suggest you take your time, you you aim correctly, and you practice these steps, whatever works for you. Practice that, and then once you come to a point where you can hit your target, you can go instinctive sometimes, and you can just switch between the two. But try to practice both if you can, and if not, then focus on practicing one method. Once you've achieved what you want to achieve with that method, then you go to the next one. That's my advice to you. Anyway, I hope you like the video, and if you have any questions, please leave them down below, and hopefully this will answer most of you who asked me the question of how I aim. But this is pretty much how I aim.